We've all seen the headlines about youth unemployment, right? It's a problem we think we get. But what if the way we've been looking at it is completely wrong? Today, we're going to tear this whole thing apart and look at it from a fresh perspective, comparing two totally different regions that are facing some surprisingly similar problems. Okay, let's get into it. So, where is all this coming from? Well, this whole deep dive is rooted in the EYES project. And check this out. It's co-funded by the European Union and a whole network of key partners. These guys are serious about making a change, and they've laid out this incredible framework that we're about to walk through. I want to kick things off with a question that kind of flips the whole script. What if the biggest problem, the real crisis, isn't about the number of young people without a job at all? What if it's about the quality of the jobs they can get, or this massive gap between the education they receive and the work that's actually out there? This one idea, it changes everything. Right, so our first big takeaway here is that this crisis, it's hiding in plain sight. Seriously, the official numbers, the statistics we always see, they just don't tell the whole story. And this is where it gets really fascinating when you compare these two regions. In a lot of Africa, you might look at the official unemployment rate and think, hey, that's not so bad. But that's hiding a huge informal economy where, yeah, young people are working, but they're trapped in what's called working poverty. No security, no benefits, no real path forward. Then you look at Southern Europe, and the problem is way more obvious, right? You see the long queues, you hear the high jobless numbers, but here's the kicker. Whether it's hidden or out in the open, the end result is exactly the same. We have a generation struggling with unstable, precarious work. And then, bam, the pandemic hit. Now, COVID didn't create these problems, but it was like this massive global stress test that just exposed how fragile the whole system was. In Africa, informal workers who had no safety net lost their income pretty much overnight. In Europe, the service sector just collapsed, and youth unemployment went through the roof. Now, both regions are dealing with the long-term scars from that shock. So you gotta ask, where is all this coming from? What's the real root of the problem? Well, it really boils down to this huge, frustrating disconnect between our education systems and the actual world of work. I mean, just listen to this. It really is the central paradox of our time. We are awarding more degrees than at any point in history. And yet, you have employers all over the place complaining that they can't find people with the skills they actually need. How does that even make sense? And this image, it just says it all, doesn't it? That diploma, that cap toss, it's supposed to be your golden ticket to opportunity. But for way, way too many young people, it just feels like an empty victory. They did everything they were supposed to do, only to find out the finish line moved because the education system and the job market are pointing in completely opposite directions. And a huge piece of this disconnect is the stigma we have around practical, hands-on skills. We put the university degree on this pedestal, but technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, is often treated like it's a second choice. And that is a massive failure, because these are the exact skills that are in super high demand. The problem is, the training itself is often outdated, way too focused on theory, and as a society, we just don't value it enough. And get this, even when a young person actually has the right skills, they run into what this research calls the translation problem. Think about it. You've got young people who can't really articulate what they can do in a way that businesses understand. And on the other side, you've got companies writing these job descriptions loaded with corporate buzzwords and jargon. It's like they're speaking two totally different languages. The result? Perfect matches are just getting lost in translation every single day. Okay, so I know, that's a lot. The problem is clear, and honestly, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. But this is where we pivot. This is where we talk about the solution. And it's not about just trying harder. It's about completely redesigning the system from the ground up. And the core idea, the guiding principle for fixing this is so simple, but so powerful. Alignment beats ambition. We have got to stop throwing money at these big, ambitious, isolated projects that ultimately go nowhere. What we need to do is build aligned pipelines that create a direct, unbroken path from the classroom to a career. So how do we actually do that? Well, pillar number one is building real public-private partnerships. And I don't just mean asking employers for their opinion. I mean, they need to be co-investors. They need to have real skin in the game, sharing the risk. Because when they do, you can bet that the skills being taught are exactly what the market is looking for. And that leads right into the next piece. When training is genuinely led by employers, the results are just common sense, right? People get into the workforce faster, they stay in their jobs longer, and the skills they have are a near perfect match for what's needed. It just works. And the final pillar of this whole thing is shared accountability. This isn't just one group's problem to fix. We need the education system, the government, and the private sector all working together like interlocking gears. When everyone shares the responsibility for the final outcome, which is getting young people into good, meaningful jobs, that's when the whole system finally starts moving in the right direction. So, there you have it. That's the vision. That's the blueprint for real systemic change. But you know what they say, a plan is just a plan without action. And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle, actually making it happen. And that is why we are so excited to announce the Action Lab. Now, this is not just another conference or a talk shop. No way. This is a hands-on, roll-up-your-sleeves opportunity for you to design one single, practical intervention that actually works in the real world. And we're getting specific. This initiative is going to focus on creating solutions that are tailor-made for the unique challenges in Cameroon, Gabon, Spain, Italy, Greece, and Turkey. So here's the challenge for you. Your design, your idea, has to meet 3 simple but crucial criteria. 1, it has to be specific to the local context. 2, it's got to be politically feasible, something that can actually get done with limited funding. And 3, it has to tackle one of the core failures we've just been talking about. Look, we have the diagnosis, we have the framework for reform, we have the platform to make it happen. All the tools are right here on the table. The only thing missing is you. So the final question is pretty simple. Are you going to help build the solution? If you're ready to stop just talking about the problem and actually start building the answer, then we need you. Join us. Head over to the EYES Project website to find out